I do 2 hours a day, 4 days a week of sets. I was looking to the Metallicas. I talked to Lars. I said, so let me get this straight. If you're only doing Master of Puppets on one night, is the audience mad that they're not there? And he goes, nope, we have enough songs that it works. He goes, and your catalog. And I went, I'm digging that concept. Not that we're going to do that, but I have enough songs and enough hits. I could do 2 separate entire shows and have hits on both sides.
Planet Rock.
Planet Rock.
Jon Bon Jovi, welcome back to the UK.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
You are, as always, the busiest beaver I can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
This Reimagined Forever album out now. What's been the initial response that you've got from people who've heard it? Because obviously you've been waiting for people to hear it. Now it's out and people have been taking it in.
I'm going to write my own review. It's betterer. I really liked the record, and hence that's why we reimagined it. So here's the quick, story. We were meant to release a very joyful record called Forever to go with the documentary and the 40th anniversary, at which time this joyous record was going to take us back to the road to celebrate the 40th anniversary, but my body said, not yet, boss. And so I had to pull the plug. And there was no way I was going out on the stage without joy in my heart and fully working vocal cords. And so I thought of the Beatles track with a little help from my friends. And in this day and age, you can do these features and go out and, and get other folks to sing on records. And I thought, well, why not? And the first person I asked was Robbie Williams, who the folks here in the UK know very well. I knew that he could relate to the subject matter of the song. Once he said yes, it made it easier for me to call others and see if they would be willing. And a coalition of the willing said yes.
I like it.
I like that.
Very topical.
And here I am today with an album that I'm very proud of already. But I honestly think some of these folks took the song to another level.
One of the collaborations that it's odd that you've never had the chance to work together before is Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. 40 years together in the biz.
And a good friend. I mean, a close friend. And Joe, his response to me was, it's about time.
So which track did he work on?
The Walls of Jericho.
Right. Okay.
Which sounded like the right, appropriate song for Joe. Sometimes Hollow Man had to be with Bruce. It's my songwriter song on the record. We made it look easy because of the many trials and tribulations of Robbie make sense for Robbie. Walls of Jericho sounds like something that Bon Jovi or Def Leppard do in a stadium. And so that was the song I thought was right for Joe.
Obviously, you handpicked who you wanted to be part of this, but is there anybody whose performance particularly surprised you beyond your own expectations?
Yeah, a band that I knew nothing about prior to March of 2024, which was called The War and Treaty. Michael and Tanya Trotter did a version of I'll Be There For You at a Music Cares event where the Grammys honored me for our charitable work. They sang I'll Be There For You, and I was like, what is that? And when they took The People's House, which is a song I wrote about the insurrection in Washington, D.C. in January 6th, 2021, they turned a sad song into church, into gospel. And they took it to another level. Or Lainey Wilson, a country artist, who I'd met again on that Music Cares event. She's a brand new artist. And someone who interpreted a song called I Wrote You a Song that I'd written for my wife and made it a duet. So now this strong character as a songwriter is singing back to me, the songwriter. And what she did with the harmonies turned them into the melodies, And I think if I go out and sing this song live, I'm going to be singing what she sang because she reinterpreted it in a way that made it betterer. Betterer.
Love it. The one thing that strikes me about your recent history, Jon, with the documentary is how candid you've been and how open you've been about stuff that a lot of singers wouldn't want the public to know about or wouldn't want them to see behind the Wizard of Oz curtain, if you will.
Okay.
Because you gave a lot of yourself away. You're still happy that you did that in the sense that...
Yeah, the truth, the whole truth. Because by the time you remember the lies, you're going to get caught in one, No, I had no intention other than to tell the whole truth. I didn't know what the documentary was going to be. I obviously didn't produce the film. But Gautam Chopra, who did do the film, who also found the parallel storyline of the song, of the vocal surgery, put it together. And when I saw it, I just had to say, it's the truth, the whole truth. So put it out.
And how are you? How are you doing?
Really well, thank you, Jesus. I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have put these shows on sale if I didn't feel like I could sing tonight. It had to be 102%. And I think I say that in the film a year and a half ago, or even 3 years ago when we started to film it. Until I was 102%, I'm not doing it.
And the other thing that pleases me is the loyalty of your bandmates.
Me too.
I remember there was a story last year that Tico had quit, that you probably saw that doing the rounds. And
Yeah,
Tico
yeah,
had to put
yeah.
out a statement saying, where's this come from?
I know. Yeah, Mr. Social Media, he gets on the thing and says, what is this? I ain't going nowhere.
But yeah, the loyalty of the band, because they've been there for you.
They have. During this process, Ian, there were days when I said, it's good enough. And the innermost circle would say, no, it's not. It's not ready yet. And there were days that I said, okay, I've had enough. And they said, no, we're gonna go on. You're going to be better. You're getting better. Look. And they would show me the progress. So none of this was easy. But no one lost hope. It's such a beautiful and admirable thing to think as we set out on what will be a monstrous tour if I choose it to be. It's going to sell out no matter where we go. The joy in the hearts of me and them and us to that audience is palpable because everyone's been on this, journey together.
Well, speaking personally, I've been on that journey with you because it's just over 40 years ago now that you were in the UK for the first time when you were supporting Kiss on the Animalised tour.
That's right.
I got to see you, and I remember being knocked out. This band, they've got a guitar solo in a support band slot. That takes some guts to stick that in there. Do you remember those? I mean, that was your first time outside of the United States, wasn't it? Coming over here with Kiss?
Sure. We came over here on an airplane called the People's Express. It was a cheap, kind of, shoddy airline. Came over here to support Kiss. It was the first album. Went down to Brighton, if I'm not mistaken, was the first show. And Gene was out there with a spray can of paint. Paint himself. Because the set was so, shall I say, it wasn't good.
Shabby.
It was done on the cheap. And he was out there with a can of spray paint. It was the first way I met him on the first day. And basically a glorified high school gym. We were playing to like 3,000 people. And that was my, having seen Kiss with the makeup in 1976 and then being there in 1984, as their support act was surreal enough. But to see him in this situation also humanized him, which made it personal. And then, you struck up a friendship and realized what a great guy he was.
Yeah.
And so, I went on from there.
Yeah, you played some very strange places on that tour. I saw you in a cowshed, basically.
Is that true?
Stafford Bingley Hall.
Well,
was
I didn't get to book the tour. I was just lucky enough to be on it.
You probably smelt it as soon as you walked in. But with this new show that you've got,
yeah.
But I presume it is a new show that you've got planned for.
Oh, it's so new it's not built yet.
There you go. But is there going to be a theme? Is it in the round?
No, that much I think I know. I've seen a couple of diagrams that they'd like to go and build. The one thing that I am in control of, and the only thing I'm in control of, is at this point, because I do 2 hours a day, 4 days a week of sets, of shows, I was looking to the Metallicas, and I talked to Lars. I said, so let me get this straight. If you're only doing, Master of Puppets on one night and one on one night, is the audience mad that they're not there? And he goes, nope, we have enough songs that it works. He goes, and your catalog. And I went, I'm digging that concept. So not that we're going to do that, but I have enough songs and enough hits. I could do 2 separate entire shows and have hits on both sides. So I'm having a lot of fun putting together shows that are multiple night kind of shows.
Because you've never done the play the album in its entirety type shows.
We've done those in situations like we did the This House Is Not For Sale album at some theater here for a record and for a TV show. And we've done Lost Highway like that. So there have been a couple, but not a lot. I think 2020 we did that too, but that was during COVID. But no, we've never performed Slippery in its entirety or New Jersey in its entirety or Keep the Faith in its entirety. No.
There you go. Just planted the seed there.
Yeah.
Maybe as an idea going forward. Tribute bands.
Yeah?
I used to be in a Bon Jovi tribute band. I was,
wow, yeah.
Thicko Toe Rest, I was called. I was the drummer in a Bon Jovi tribute band called We had such fun. Have you seen many Bon Jovi? Are you into them?
Yeah. No, I love it because it keeps the music, going and on pubs and theaters. And I've met many a man over the year who are in these kind of tribute bands, or I've met men who've made livings out of it, like careers out of it. And so I think it's fantastic. So a TV streamer approached us about doing a television program on tribute bands. So I'm fully supportive of it. I love it.
I've seen word of an autobiography, a John Bon Jovi or band autobiography. Nothing planned book.
No. We did a book, which is more a glorified picture book.
Right.
That Genesis Publishers have out right now on the shelves. And it's all-encompassing everything from the archives, all the notebooks, the cassettes, the writing process, the pictures. It's more of a picture book than a biography or an autobiography or even a memoir. It's just an overview of everything, but it's a wonderful book.
But you've no plans to
You
write
know,
everything down?
I think that we all made a pact in the very beginning that you don't want to write a book that your mom's not going to read, and there's no reason to bullshit. So, none of us ever were going to tell stories out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the documentaries covered really everything there is that needs to be said. So, no, I don't feel the need.
2026 is going to be a big year for you.
Well, it's going to be, we're going back to work.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a massive tour. If you see a date announced, trust that that's the date.
No
And
add-ons.
very few.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very few. Both hands and toes is going to be about the extent of it. There's 3 shows out there. There
Yeah.
won't be more than a 4th show announced here for 26. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. Is it like a whole day thing? You're going to have lots of bands involved with you?
No, I really don't do that. I think we'll have 1 or 2 support acts maybe, and it's just a night of you're stuck with me.
Hey, Wembley Stadium's changed a bit since you were first there back in the 90s.
Yeah. You know, as we closed the old one, the deal was for us to open the new one. We had sold out a couple nights, but the damn stadium wasn't finished. So they moved all our crowd out to Milton Keynes for a couple of nights. Well, I went back there in 19, and so I saw the new building, and it was wonderful. And now I was there a couple of days ago in an empty building, so I've made my peace with the history and with the ghosts, and now I'm looking forward to going back and performing there.
Are the dressing rooms big enough?
Never big enough.
Well, look, we do look forward to seeing you
Yeah,
live next
thanks,
year.
pal.
And look, it's great that Forever's out there, and
Thank you.
all these artists like you say, Robbie, and Robbie's a rocker.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Really, his drummer's a rocker. He sort of pushes him
No,
in that
Robbie's
direction.
definitely a rocker. He's already called and asked when he could jump up on stage and perform with us. So,
Well, you're not gonna
hopefully
deny
next
him that
summer.
chance,
No,
are
I
you?
will not.
Well, that's great, and we wish you well with
Thanks, Ian.
Forever and with everything next year. We're looking forward to having you back.
Appreciate you, brother.
Planet Rock.